My son David changed the locks on my house while I was out buying groceries. And when I came back, my key didn't work. I stood there on my own porch in Tulsa, Oklahoma, bags in my hands, staring at that door like I was in the wrong place, even though I was still the one paying for everything inside it. The milk was starting to sweat through the plastic, dripping onto my shoe. But I didn't move. I just kept trying the key, slow at first, then harder, like maybe I wasn't turning it right, like maybe it was my fault. It wasn't. I knocked. Not loud, just enough for someone inside to hear. I knew he was home. His car was in the driveway. Same one I helped him lease last year when his credit needed a little boost. That's what he said. No answer. I knocked again, this time sharper. The kind of knock a man uses when he knows something isn't right. Still nothing. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Not coming to open the door. Just coming close enough to listen. "David," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Open the door." Silence stretched out between us. I could feel him on the other side, choosing. Then finally, his voice came through the wood, flat and cold. "You shouldn't be here." I blinked. For a second, I thought I heard wrong. "This is my house," I said. "No," he replied. Quick this time. "It's not anymore." That landed harder than anything else. I shifted the grocery bags in my hands, feeling the weight of them like something I'd earned, something I had a right to carry inside. "I pay the mortgage," I said quietly, "every month. You know that." There was a pause, and then a sound I didn't expect. A second voice. A woman's voice. "Karen." "You told him?" she whispered, not even trying to hide it. My chest tightened. David exhaled like I was the inconvenience, like I had shown up uninvited to something private. "We've talked about this," he said through the door. "You can't just come and go whenever you want." I stared at the handle, at the door I had keys to for over 20 years. "I don't come and go," I said. "I live here." "No," he said again, firmer now. "You used to." That was the moment something shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet and final. Like a chair being pulled out from under you, and you realized too late you were still sitting in it. I set the grocery bags down slowly on the porch. Inside, I heard movement, a lock clicking, but not opening. Another lock, then another. He was making sure I stayed out, and that's when I understood. This hadn't just happened today. This had been planned. I didn't knock again after that. There's a point where knocking turns into begging, and I wasn't going to stand on my own porch begging my son to let me into a house I was still paying for. I picked up the grocery bags and walked back down the steps. Slow, steady, like my legs weren't quite sure what they were doing. The sun was still high, neighbors going about their day like nothing had happened. Mrs. Keller across the street waved at me like always. I nodded back, like everything was normal. I put the bags in the trunk of my car, but I didn't get in right away. I just stood there, staring at the front door, waiting. I don't know for what. Maybe for him to come out. Maybe for him to realize what he'd just done. He didn't. After a while, I got in and drove. No plan. Just drove. Tulsa traffic moved around me like a current I couldn't feel. My hands stayed tight on the wheel the whole time. I ended up in a grocery store parking lot across town. Sat there with the engine running, listening to it hum like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. Then my phone rang. David. I let it ring twice before answering. "What?" I said. No greeting. No softness left in me. "You can't just show up like that," he said, like we were continuing a conversation that made sense. I let out a quiet breath. "Show up? To my own house?" "It's not that simple," he snapped. "Karen's been uncomfortable for months. We need boundaries." "Boundaries?" I repeated. "You changed the locks, David." There was a pause. Then he said something that settled deep in my bones. "You left before. You moved out. This is our place now." I gripped the steering wheel tighter. I moved into the guest room so you and your wife could have space after you lost your job. I never left. That's not how we see it. We. That word again. And the mortgage? I asked. How do you see that? Silence. I waited. You said you wanted to help, he finally muttered. I did help, I said. I've been helping for 3 years. Another pause. Longer this time. Then Karen's voice, faint in the background but sharp enough to cut through. Ask him about the account. My stomach dropped. What account? David said, louder now, like he was putting on a show. I closed my eyes for a second, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about space. This wasn't just about the house. There was something else. Something they thought I didn't know. You already know which one, I said quietly. Silence slammed down on the line. Real silence this time. Then David spoke. Slower now. What are you talking about? But it wasn't confusion. It was caution. And right there, sitting in that parking lot, I realized something that made my chest feel hollow. They weren't just trying to push me out. They were trying to lock me out before I found out what they'd already done. I didn't go home that night. I drove until the sky turned that dull gray color, the kind that makes everything feel unfinished. Ended up at a cheap motel off Route 66, the kind of place where nobody asks questions and the carpets smell like old smoke no matter how much they clean them. I carried those same grocery bags into the room like they meant something, like they still belonged somewhere. Set them on the table. Milk, bread, eggs. Things you buy when you expect to come back home. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, just staring at them. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. My hand wasn't shaking. Not yet. Just slow. I opened my banking app. It took a second to load, longer than usual. That little spinning circle just sat there, turning like it had all the time in the world. Then it opened. At first glance, everything looked normal. Balance was still there. Main account untouched. But something felt off, like walking into a room where the furniture's been moved just an inch to the left. I scrolled. Then I saw it. A second login notification. New device. 3 days ago. I frowned, leaned forward, tapped into the activity log. There it was. Access granted, changes made, authorization updated. My chest tightened. No, I said out loud, to nobody. I opened the linked accounts. That's when it hit me. The mortgage account, the one tied to the house. My name was still there, but it wasn't first anymore. David's name had been moved above mine, primary. I just stared at it, trying to understand what I was looking at. That wasn't something you could do by accident. That wasn't a glitch. That was paperwork. That was signatures. That was planning. And then I saw the rest. A withdrawal request. Pending. Large enough to make my stomach drop. I felt something cold spread through my chest, slow and heavy, like ice filling up a glass. I grabbed the phone tighter and scrolled further. There was a note attached. Authorized by account holder. I let out a breath that didn't feel like mine. I never signed anything, I whispered. And right then, like he knew the exact moment I'd see it, my phone rang again. David. I answered this time without thinking. What did you do? I asked. No buildup, no hesitation, silence on the other end, just breathing. Then he said it. You weren't supposed to find out yet. That word, yet. My grip tightened. You moved yourself onto my account, I said slowly. You made yourself primary. It's not like that, he said quickly. I needed control to manage things. You've been forgetful lately. Forgetful. I actually laughed. Just once. Short and dry. I've been paying your bills for 3 years. You said you wanted to help. He snapped again, louder now, like volume could make it true. And stealing from me is helping? I shot back. It's not stealing. There was a pause. Then Karen's voice again, sharper this time. Tell him about the loan. My heart skipped, just once. What loan? I asked. David didn't answer right away, and that silence told me everything I needed to know. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. Quieter, tighter. We had to take something out against the house. I felt the room tilt just slightly. You did what? It's temporary, he rushed. Just to cover some things. We were going to handle it before you even noticed. Handle it how? I asked. No answer. David, I said, slower now, steadier. What did you use my house for? Another pause. Then finally, we put it up as collateral. Everything inside me went still. Because in that moment, I understood exactly why the locks had been changed, and it had nothing to do with boundaries. I didn't say anything after that. Not right away. There are moments in a man's life where words don't come. Not because you don't have them, but because saying them would make something real that you're still trying to hold back. I just sat there on that motel bed, phone pressed to my ear, listening to my own son breathe like he was waiting for me to understand. I didn't agree to that, I said finally. Slow and low. We didn't have a choice, David answered, and there was something desperate creeping into his voice now. Things got tight. I thought I could fix it before it got bad. You put my house on the line, I said, without telling me. It's not just your house, he snapped. That did it. That was the line. I stood up so fast the chair scraped across the floor. It is my name on that mortgage, I said. My money, my credit, my life tied up in those walls. You let me move in, he fired back. You said it was for family. That means something. It means I trusted you. Silence. Heavy. Thick. The kind that settles into your chest and stays there. Then Karen again, always just behind him, always pushing. We're trying to build something, she said. You wouldn't understand. I closed my eyes for a second. I built that house, I said quietly. Every payment, every repair. I know exactly what it takes. David exhaled hard, like he was running out of patience. Look, the loan's already done. There's nothing you can do about it now. That sentence sat wrong. Nothing you can do. I opened my eyes and stared at the wall in front of me. Faded paint, a crack running down the corner. Something small and broken. That's not true, I said. Neither of them answered. I want the documents, I continued. Every signature, every paper you filed. Another pause. We don't have to do all that, David said carefully. Too carefully. Yes, I said. We do. You're overreacting. No, I replied. I'm catching up. That one landed. I could hear it in the silence that followed. Then he said something that turned my stomach. You signed a power of attorney last year, remember? I froze. The room went still again, but this time it felt different. Cold. What are you talking about? I said. You said it was just in case something happened to you, so I could handle things. I tried to remember something about paperwork, a visit. Him sitting across from me at the kitchen table, explaining things fast, too fast. You said it was for emergencies, I said slowly. It is, he replied. This is an emergency. I let out a long breath, and it felt like it took something out of me when it left. No, I said. An emergency is a fire or a hospital bed. My voice hardened. Not your bad decisions. Karen scoffed quietly in the background. You're going to lose everything if you don't calm down, she said. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I already did, I answered. That shut her up. I looked down at my hands, steady now, clearer than they'd been all day. Tell me something, David, I said. If everything's under control. I paused, just long enough. Why'd you change the locks? This time, neither of them answered, and that silence told me the truth I wasn't ready to face before. They weren't trying to fix anything. They were buying time, because whatever they'd done, it was already worse than they were telling me. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. I sat in that motel chair with the lamp on, The documents open on my phone, reading the same lines over and over like they might change if I stared long enough. They didn't. By morning, I had names. A lender I'd never heard of. A loan amount that made my chest feel tight. And a date. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. Before the locks changed. Before the silence. Before any of this. I drove straight to the house just after sunrise. Tulsa mornings are quiet. Almost peaceful if you don't have something heavy sitting in your chest. The car was still there. Lights off. Curtains drawn. I didn't knock this time. I walked around to the side, to the garage. The keypad still worked. They hadn't changed that. Not yet. I punched in the code and waited. The door rolled up slow, loud in the quiet morning. And for a second, I just stood there, looking inside like I was stepping into someone else's life. Boxes, stacked along the walls, furniture covered, things missing, too many things. I walked in, slow. Careful, like the house might reject me if I moved too fast. The air felt different, empty in a way I couldn't explain. Then I heard it behind me. "What are you doing?" "David." I turned. He looked worse than the night before. Tired, eyes red, but not from regret. From stress. From being caught. "I came home," I said. "You're not supposed to be here," he replied quickly. Too quickly. I glanced around the garage, then back at him. "Where is everything?" He didn't answer. Karen stepped into view behind him, arms crossed like she'd been waiting for this moment. "We sold some things," she said. My stomach dropped. "Sold what things?" David ran a hand through his hair. "Just stuff we didn't need. Furniture, some appliances." I shook my head slowly. "Those aren't yours to sell." "We needed the money," he snapped. "You took out a loan," I said. "What money did you need on top of that?" That hit hard. He looked at Karen for half a second, and that was all I needed to see. "How much, David?" He didn't answer. "How much?" I repeated. Karen stepped forward instead. "Not enough," she said, and that's when it finally came out. Not clean, not honest, but enough. "The loan didn't go where you think," David said, voice low now. "It wasn't for bills." I felt something tighten in my chest. Then what was it for? He hesitated, just long enough. Then, an investment. The word hung there, wrong, cold. "What investment?" I asked. No answer. "David." He swallowed. "There was a deal, a property, quick turnaround. I was going to flip it, double the money, pay everything back before you even noticed." I just stared at him. "You gambled my house." "It wasn't a gamble," he shot back. "It was supposed to work." "Supposed to," I repeated. Silence. That same silence I'd been hearing all day. The kind that fills in the truth for you. "It didn't," I said. He didn't respond. He didn't have to. Karen looked away, and in that moment, everything finally lined up. The loan. The missing furniture, the locks. They weren't protecting anything. They were hiding it. "How bad is it?" I asked quietly. David's face shifted, just slightly. Not defensive, not angry. Scared. "They're coming," he said. I felt my breath slow, like my body already knew what that meant. "Who is?" Another pause. Then he said it. "The lender." And the way he said it told me this wasn't a bank, not the kind that sends letters, the kind that shows up. I didn't ask any more questions after that. There's a kind of knowing that settles in your bones, quiet, heavy, final. And I felt it then, standing in that garage, looking at my son like I didn't recognize him anymore. "They're coming," he'd said. Not if, not maybe. Coming. I walked past him without another word and into the house. The air inside was wrong. Empty in places it shouldn't be. The living room felt stripped, like someone had taken pieces out of it and tried to pretend nothing changed. My chair was gone. The one by the window, where I used to sit every morning with my coffee, gone. I stopped there for a second, just looking at the space it used to fill. Then I heard it. A car outside, not pulling in gentle, not slowing down. Stopping hard. Doors opening. More than one. David froze behind me. I didn't have to turn around to know it. Karen moved quick, toward the hallway, like she already knew what came next. Then the knock. Not polite, not patient. 3 sharp hits against the front door that didn't belong to us anymore. David didn't move. "Open it," a voice called from outside. Low, flat, the kind of voice that doesn't repeat itself. I turned slowly, looked at my son. His face had gone pale. "You said you had time," Karen whispered, panic breaking through now. "I thought I did," he said. The knock came again, louder this time. "Open the door." I stepped forward. David grabbed my arm. "Don't!" I pulled free. "Everything in this house is in my name," I said quietly. "You remember that?" He didn't answer. I reached the door, rested my hand on the handle for just a second. Funny thing, after all those years, it still felt like mine. I opened it. 2 men stood there. Not in suits, not carrying papers, just standing, like they already owned the ground they were on. One of them looked past me, straight into the house. "You David?" he asked. No one answered. I didn't move, didn't step aside, didn't invite them in. For a moment, nobody said anything. Then behind me, I heard it. A drawer opening, fast, desperate. I turned my head slightly, just enough to see David in the hallway, holding something in his hand. And that's when everything went quiet. If this story meant something to you, subscribe. There's more to come.